kind of concludes my presentation. Again, for information, and happy to discuss in the future.
Good job.
That before we leave, that number you threw out there, is that strictly to fund hiring the company to develop this, that $100,000?
I believe it would help fund the company as well as create some direct marketing materials and some strategic advertising placements throughout the region and specific, you know, magazines, destinations, stuff
You've
like
already
that.
got the 40
Yes, sir.
designated on the tourism side. And would there be any other chance to tap any of those other partners there you mentioned, other than the city of Monroe's general fund? That's the next question.
Yes, sir. I've reached out to Don Mitchell and Russ Colbath, and they said they would, without giving a specific number, they said they'd be willing participants.
Well, then that seems like a doable thing that we as a council could be able to, you know, be willing it down, and you're not asking for the whole 100.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, that seems to me to be something Bobby said we've been talking about it for a long time, but we've not really moved forward with it, and the number's not going to be that high if you have some partners. So I think there should be a way to find some funds in our.
Is that the next step, is to get the funds and then to get the country?
Well, yeah,
Back.
Manager, correct me if I'm wrong, my next step would be to reach out to different companies,
Yeah.
see what they would offer and see what their cost would be,
Right.
and see if that fit within us. And if they come back and say, well, that's a $300,000 thing, we'll say, well, thank you, we'll do something different.
So, RFQ process, request for qualifications,
Right.
request for proposal process.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think it'd be a good idea to reach out and, you know, come back to the
Yeah,
next
I'd
meeting.
like to do that.
And we can also say, okay, we're going to put a $100,000 cap on it and include that in our, you know, request. Say, hey, maybe not say this is what we've got,
What can you do for?
but what is the best we can get for this?
Right.
There's just some unknowns right now because we are in the early stages, and I think again, Larry, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking, and Larry's looking for just a little direction. If it's a good idea, we'll explore it further. If not, we'll let it die here.
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's one that's been, you know, if something keeps coming around, you know, and there must be something to it, in my opinion. And we are sorely lacking in that regard. As Bobby said, we just have two small sides outside our city, as we said before, introducing us. So anything we can do to introduce ourselves to the area and region.
So do you need a motion, or can we just tell you to go ahead and do it?
So just after, I think
We'll
just bring some
consider
figures
studying
back.
this. All these things are being teed up for budget.
Bring them.
We're hearing the message.
Yeah, bring
So
some
move
figures.
forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got about a little less than 45 minutes, way I count the clock, remaining for, or with the board's indulgence. I'd like to begin our SWOT presentations. A few introductory comments. What is SWOT? It's an analysis or a matrix used as a planning method, exploring four major aspects of an organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The effort can help explore critical areas of an organization's programs, its existence, its projects, even its reputation or goodwill. A number of our departments use this methodology currently, and we've extrapolated that to a number of our other departments. On the next slide, I've suggested a sequence. It's a lot, and it's the bottom lower left box that I'm focusing on. I'd like to begin with HR or Deborah. As time permits, we'll sequence through the other general fund departments. I don't expect us to get through all of them. And those that we don't finish today can carry forward to March 17th if the board is so inclined to have, as requested in your regular agenda this evening, another workshop beginning at approximately 4 o'clock. And with that, let's invite Deborah.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for giving me this opportunity to share with you our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And they told me I'm supposed to use this little controller here. In looking at the strengths of human resources and the staff, we're extremely passionate about what we do. We're experienced in the field. We're finally fully staffed, so that really makes a big difference for us. And we're service-oriented in terms of trying to make sure that we satisfy our employees, motivate them, and make sure that their general well-being, both internally and externally, are taken care of as far as our customers are concerned. HR offers a number of strategic planning events that allow for organizational awareness, creative solutions and problem solving, supportive, nurturing our work environment across department lines. We get a chance to see all of our departments. And using some of the programs, we have the Eggs Breakfast where all of our employees have an opportunity to sit back and talk with the city manager. And what that stands for is employee-generated great suggestions. So the city manager has an opportunity to share with them what's going on with the city, and they have an opportunity to share with the city manager and get questions answered. Our Employee Appreciation, Employee Wellness Program, and our Citizens Academy. We also have human resources in terms of preparing the red carpet, whether or not that is the mayor or a street cleaner. Whenever you come to our doors, we try to make sure we roll out the red carpet for you to make sure that we make you welcome. We answer any questions on the front end so that if you have questions, concerns about policies, that we make sure that we explain those to you and that you don't go through the door and not feeling welcome to the HR department. And looking at weaknesses, there are consistent performance reviews. We have a policy in place for performance reviews, but inconsistent pay for performance merit increases. Limited funds to complete new programs such as our compensation and benefits survey. The city has a well-defined program, and we do not use it consistently, which is really not a good practice. If you use it consistently, you would find that your employees will have stake in what they're doing, productivity increases, the success of the overall city becomes important to all of our employees. But keep in mind, when you pay for daily earnings, a merit for performance is just as important. So we have to make a commitment for our performance-based program to be looked at every year. It shouldn't be something that is set aside to support just the general budget, but to support our employees in general. Succession planning is a practice in most of our departments. The larger departments is easier to do. The smaller departments it's hard to prepare for succession planning in terms of our nearing retirement workforce. Limit and time consuming HR reporting data. We work with the same reporting data that all of our departments use, whether it's billing, whether it's energy services. Our IT department does a wonderful job, except for when it comes to HR reporting for outside organizations. We have to do a lot of manual work to get the data set up so that we can answer the questions externally. Many demands, increased programs, and limited staff to serve the programs. The theory for HR is normally one HR person to every 100 employees. Right now we have one HR person to 140 employees.
Excuse me, Deborah, can you tell us a little bit more about succession planning?
On the succession planning, basically what you try to do is you develop your departments so that you can have someone move into place whenever your key employees leave or retire. Mm-hmm. You want someone to be prepared, trained, so they could step in, and you don't have to use a lot of recruiting dollars to go out and find someone to replace them, and also the curve for someone learning your organization becomes a little bit more difficult. Opportunities, consistent budget for updating the city's compensation and benefits survey that is recommended for every 5 years. Our last one was 2008, so we really want to take an opportunity to make sure that we utilize the benefits survey. Invest in a more useful, friendly human resources reporting system, which goes back to the HTE process under SunGuard. For us to analyze our data, we kind of need something that is a little bit more up to date. Even though we're getting what we need, we just have to work a little bit harder in terms of how we get the information. Available external support for employee training citywide, self-service programs that will put routine requests at the fingertips of all of our employees. In certain organizations, you can have kiosks that are set up in various departments, and we have employees that come to us all the time for changing their W-4, changing addresses, and that's an ongoing process because they're trying to get the best tax rate they possibly can based on increases. And when you have kiosks set up in different places, they can do that themselves instead of having to come out of the department to come see us. And based on us being a small department, it takes away some of the daily activities that we're responsible for. Allowing best practices and human resources that are available. The healthcare reform and the benefits enhancements. Healthcare reform can be a challenge for us, but in actuality, it did something really good for our employees when it actually extended that employees' children could stay on the plan to 26. That was really a saver because most of the 19 to 30 were employees' children who did not have benefits at all. So when the healthcare reform came about, it allowed our employees' children to stay on our plan until age 26. Threats. Now, even though I said healthcare reform was an issue, as a good thing, now becomes a threat because with the restraints of healthcare reform, full-time status of employees have been changed a lot. Like we would have part-time and temporary positions where it would cover vacancies. Now you have constraints where if you have a part-time or temporary person, they cannot work over 28 hours and go into the 30-hour status. When you do that, you have to give them benefits. So in that respect, it causes us a little bit of challenges of trying to get positions filled on a temporary basis until we hire a full-time person, so we have to watch the hours that we're using them. Provide high level of service internally and externally with less funding and staffing. Increase turnover due to a number of reasons, including, but not limited to, the medical costs and our wages staying flat. So when you increase the health care and employees are still working with the same dollar figure for a long period of time, it causes some stress on them. Our grade table is competitive, but when you remain flat, you're not competitive to all the companies on the outside based on your actual hourly salary or your annual salary. Increasing demands on service needs and reporting requirements.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that employees, we're having turnover because employees are able to leave employment with the city, go somewhere else and make more money and get equal to or better health care coverage and carry home more money?
Well, we have a good plan, except for maybe some companies might pay more money for it or pay for it totally. Not all, there are a few companies out there that will cover the whole cost of benefits, and then if they increase them a couple dollars, it looks good to the employee. Not necessarily saying that the grass is greener on the other side, but we are having employees that leave for various reasons like that.
We put $1 million in it last year.
But what, okay, and you're putting that down as a reason for employees leaving. Now the employees that are leaving, are there other reasons that they're leaving as well?
Yeah, I said it's not limited to. There are a number of reasons. That's just a couple that's out there. It could be that they wanted that particular job. It could be that
It could be that they no longer able to get along with the supervisor or coworkers.
Possible, yeah. So there's a number of things, so that's why I said it wasn't limited to that. That's just one that keeps coming up for a lot of employees, and not so much the medical versus the flat dollar figure that hasn't changed over a period of time.
When employees leave, do they do an exit interview?
Yes, those, they do an exit interview if you were not terminated. If you left on your own accord, then you would actually get an exit interview. Any other questions? Thank you.
Doug will be followed by Lisa, who will present you with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats assessment for finance.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I'm here to talk about our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the Finance Department. As you know, the Finance Department has many different hats. We spread across through purchasing, fleet maintenance, customer service. So we provide a wide array of services to the various departments in the city. There it goes. Sorry. Some of the strengths of our division are dedicated staff members with strong institutional history and experience. 18 out of 30 of our employees have more than 10 years of tenure with the city, and 25 out of 30 have more than 5 years. We have a customer service focus inherently because that is our job. We provide customer service to the other city departments as well as external customers. As I mentioned, we have purchasing, fleet maintenance, we have warehouse. Externally, we bill for utilities, taxes, and generate those revenues for the city. And we serve as the front line for all the utility connections, disconnections, complaints. We also have strengths with our bond ratings. The Finance Department is responsible for maintaining the reviews